Klay Thompson,
Oh man,
And
how do you fumble? How do you fumble Megan Thee Stallion? Like that is like
that's a controversial take. This is very hot tea. Some people
this is
online
very
will
hot
say
tea.
that she's not a prize to be gotten. She has a history that means she does not deserve true love, is what some people would say on the internet. And
I'm not going to get canceled for your bad behavior.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Two Texas Teas podcast. I'm your host, Don. I'm here with Lawson. If you were paying attention last week, we did drop a special episode about Fiesta. So if you want to check that out, there's a link in our description, but also you can just go to YouTube or anywhere else you listen to our podcast. Again, we are still looking for sponsors. So if you are interested in being a sponsor, go to our website at www.twotexasteas.com. Or you can send us an email at ads@twotexasteas.com. And lastly, we do have merchandise now. So if you are a supporter or listener, go to our website at shop.twotexasteas.com. Look for something, get something nice for you, your family, your friends. And thank you all. Thank you to our 2,000,002 followers. And we will begin this podcast.
Alrighty, folks. We are going to be testing out a segment called Hot Tea, Sweet Tea, and Brewed Tea, where we are going to bring you guys an array of different stories and just kind of segment them into what we think is going on. So our hot tea is going to be more of our like spicy, something piping's going on here, more of like our allegations and just like very pressing matters. Our sweet tea, we're going to talk about something really happy and like a feel good that's going on here in Texas. And then our brewed tea is the things that are still piping, that are ready to like come down the pipeline or what's to come. So on today's episode, our hot tea, we're going to be talking about the turnover again in the San Antonio mayor's office and see what's going on with that. I know it's been a little spicy, Don, so we'll have to get into it. And also, in a very bizarre way, a school election here in San Antonio got a little nasty with the Alamo area colleges in District 9. So interesting to see how that happened and how that kind of fumbled. On the sweet tea side, our very own Kacey Musgraves, our Texas pageant queen. We love her. She is hosting a concert here at Gruene, Texas, and she is doing something really cool with the Mariachi kids that were held at the Dilley facility. And then to wrap everything up with our brewed tea, we're going to talk about some of the upcoming elections that are happening here and what that's going to look like for Texas and Texas's impact on the U.S. So let's get into it. Gone.
I'm speaking devil's advocate. I feel like if the allegations are true, I mean, the case in high, I guess, chief among everything is you don't want a partner to cheat on you. No matter, there's no really excuse to be like, well, they didn't treat me right. And it's like, hold on, man. Like, y'all can be the adults about this. Be like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. Therefore, I'm leaving. So that is the case, like the highest point. But I think people on the internet are like, well, let's not even consider the cheating part. What we should be bringing into consideration is the type of image that Megan Thee Stallion portrays, and therefore, because of the image that she portrays, means she doesn't deserve to have a traditional relationship. It's like, all right, I don't know how Megan Thee Stallion acts behind the scenes. I would assume people can kind of like tell the stage persona versus like, this is how I actually want to act behind the scenes. Yeah, I'll be twerking, but I don't want to be twerking until I'm 50, 60. Like, I mean, and then the other things about it is like, I mean, Megan Thee Stallion isn't the first singer to promote sexual images and all that stuff. I mean, dang, Madonna been married. Like, there's so many musicians have done this in the past. I don't know why we put so much emphasis on Megan Thee Stallion, but I don't know.
Megan Thee Stallion was doing it. Lizzo has always. I think that we need to stop criticizing women wanting to bring body and sexual positivity into the limelight, because if this was a man that was doing this, talking about how big he is or what he can do in bed, people are like, oh, that was just a really good lyric. Taylor Swift, for those that don't know, I am a OG top tier Swiftie, right? She was just interviewed by was it New York Times Magazine, because she's one of like the top 30 living songwriters. And she was talking about Somber and how she's just so happy that like Somber is like a messy man, messy artist that is using his craft to be able to just like kind of like put all of it out there, because it takes the load off of and the pressure off of women being able to do the exact same thing. And I think that like a stage persona needs to live as a stage persona. Like Beyonce's also one. Like she even named her whole album Sasha Fierce. Like she has an alter ego that has a confidence that is very sexually like infused and like loves it. But she gets off the stage and she says, I'm such an introvert. And I don't think that it's fair to like Megan Thee Stallion that she like is incredibly talented with the things that she could do with her body, and slay to her that she can like move her body that way, because my hips hurt walking normally. Like, I mean, I think everybody deserves love and to be respected and valued, and whatever traditional relationship she wanted, like the fuck, for him to be like, I don't want that, then I mean, and let her put it out there. Let her be messy. Like, I love that she's just like, I'm going to do this like anybody else that's on Facebook that's like in a relationship and not in a relationship and back in a relationship. Like, go for it. Like, put it all out there. I'm for it. I can't wait for her next album where she's literally just a trash check. I love it.
Well, some people, the argument online is that she probably shouldn't have said anything, and then she just went silently. But I guess the relationship was public from the beginning, so I guess it would be a public beginning and public ending. And then there are also people online who say that she might have cheated on people that she's dated with in the past. So why? I guess if you've been cheated on, then that justifies it. If you are a cheater, that means it's justified that you be cheated on. Again, it's like, so it's very, very toxic online when it comes to picking the right individual, which is, I guess, every person's number one decision they must make in life. Almost is like, you got to pick the right individual, and unfortunately, neither Klay or Meg picked the right individual at this instance. So, I'm being very democratic about things. So just to say, the evaluation process, like some suggestions were for, I mean, family members aside, is some suggestions that maybe you should have kept this a little bit more private and dated a little bit longer before you came out in public, because doing something in the public eye means you gotta have to keep up an image. And a lot of people know in our personal lives that people who are the most public with their relationship, like, something's obviously wrong with it, because it's like, why you always on Instagram all the time? Like y'all don't, nothing, there's nothing private to y'all. Like, what is going on? And then there's people that we know in our lives who have been married forever, and then they don't post anything. Like, what do y'all really do? Like, what happens? Like, are you like, how's everything going? Like, oh no, we're fine. We just don't feel like letting everybody know. So I don't know, but I'm a romantic. So when people get into relationships, my first inclination is like, I hope it succeeds. I hope it works out. And then when it doesn't, then I'll be eating popcorn like, why did this not work out? It's not.
And that's where the tea is, right?
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
And I think on that note, let's get into it, right?
All right.
Let's get into today's episode. Ooh. Well, let's talk about it. If you hear, I just want to like give like the disclaimer to like our listeners and our viewers this week. I am currently in Corpus Christi because I am the travel element of the two of us. And I'm currently at my sister's house, and she has 3 dogs, and they are incredibly dramatically vocal. So if you hear like random grunts, groans, or barks, they just feel like they are upset with me because they're not special guests on today's show. But I'm not going to put them on today's show because they're just not camera ready. But as far as hot tea goes, in San Antonio, there's been additional resignations from the mayor's office this week. We lost another chief of staff and the deputy chief of staff. And I think both of them have their own shock factor for 2 different reasons. So we had the chief of staff that was brought in from DC. Correct me if I'm wrong, Don. I know that she was like former Pentagon. Like she had like some like serious like repertoire behind her. And so she lasted, quite frankly, a lot longer than I think a lot of us expected.
Denise
she's
Carroll.
not a San Antonian. Yes, like she's not a San Antonian. She didn't like, I think that like people underestimate the need for like a root in San Antonio when you're working in San Antonio, especially in San Antonio politics, and especially as a chief of staff. So she resigned, and it was on the coattails of the deputy chief of staff, which was like even more shocking because she's been in city council politics for years. So that's now it's kind of like, who's going to step up? Who's going to do that? And there was like a LinkedIn post that she put up, and I want to say I can grab that, where like it was very subliminal and it's kind of like, hey, maybe this is what happened. But yeah, that right now is a hot tea, and it all comes out after Fiesta. So that's cooled down. We have survived it. I fiested a little too close to the sun, or a little too close to the chicken on a stick this time. I texted Dawn. Dawn was like sending me like notes for the podcast. And I was like, I'm currently in the fetal position trying to keep my insides from coming out. Like I was like so nauseous and everything hurt. And I was questioning every single decision that I made. And Dawn's just like, how many Jello shots did you have? It was a great time.
I was a little bit more jealous than anything. I looked in my pantry and I was like, man, I ain't got nothing to drink in here. I can't even live vicariously through you. I'm drinking water. Like, oh, this ain't doing the same. I'm just gonna go to sleep early and I have no headache when I wake up in the morning. But for those of you who knew me, just know that I am a person that encourages people to have fun. So yeah, your head might hurt every once in a while when you go out drinking and having a great time. But then you know what? You need to go out drinking and having a great time every once in a while. Just like let loose. Opinions on the office. So you and I have both worked in politics in the city council office, and we kind of understand how it operates behind the scenes. I don't believe that I had the reputation of the office that I worked in that we had high. Actually, I don't think we had high staff turnover because that staff has been there for a minute. So I mean, if you just extrapolate to like any small team, if you have a team that's consistently like turning over, there starts to be a perception that's built from the people on the outside looking in saying like, well, clearly it's instability, it's micromanaging, it's like unclear expectations. There's something is going on in this office. Now, I don't know, like for the many of the people that have left the mayor's office in the last year, I don't really know like if they've ever come out and actually said something definitive, like this is exactly what's happening. It's always kind of like, I just left. And it's like, all right, well, clearly you left for a reason, but no, I mean, we can only kind of like listen to the news, watch the news and make up our own opinions. It definitely hurts the credibility, I would say, of the mayor's office. And also people underestimate how, I mean, you would assume people would know this, but the relationships in an office are incredibly important. If you have someone that's in that office for years, potentially like these new city council members can spend 8 years in office and they just have like people on the outside just have that person that they can speak to. It does help out with a lot of different things along the line, because I'm a business leader, I'm a nonprofit leader. I can say, oh, I know someone in that office that I can contact and they can get me the answers that I need. But if there's a revolving door going on behind the scenes, it's like, well, who am I supposed to contact? And then now everything else starts to fall through the cracks. It's like, okay, well, we don't have a chief of staff now. And so some would argue that the mayor's chief of staff is probably one of the most important, powerful people in San Antonio proper. And now we don't have one. Now, for the reasons why they have left, like, again, we don't really know. I mean, we're on a podcast and we like news, so it'd be interesting to hear the words like, hey, this is what was going on. But okay.
I will say, like, so Deputy Chief of Staff Pat Wallace, she's been, like I mentioned, she was at District 8 for years. She was the Chief of Staff for both Manny Pelaez. She started off with Eva Lease, who is the current City Council member. Like, she is such a cornerstone for, like, the longevity of council staff. And I have nothing but respect for Pat, because she is such a, like, she's hardcore and just somebody who I think that like would be a wealth of knowledge to absorb from. And I personally was really excited to see that the mayor had enough sense to bring her into her staff, because she had respect from the other council members. So Pat put this on her LinkedIn. She said, I am really proud of my time at City Hall. The policy wins, the leadership coaching, the mentoring, the problem solving, all of it has been a rewarding experience. The last 9 years have been a great adventure. And while I love serving San Antonio as a public servant, I'm excited to explore new possibilities. I am taking with me incredible memories and the many relationships I have built along the way. I have deep respect for all who continue to serve our city. I know San Antonio is better because of you. And last but not least, thank you to my dear friends who hosted and attended the celebration last night. Your support means the world to me. So she posted that. I know that, hold on.
Sounds like a
At
retirement
one
post.
point, she retired. Like she said, I'm done. And a week ago from when I'm reading this, she had posted experience matters. Experience brings perspective, sound judgment, and the ability to navigate challenges with confidence. But success is never built alone. It grows through strong relationships, a positive work environment, and great teamwork. When people feel valued, supported, and connected, amazing things happen. Invest in experience, nurture relationships, and build teams that thrive. Hashtag leadership, hashtag teamwork, hashtag work culture. So she posted this, and it was like, if you cannot read between those lines, then you don't want to. Like you are like intentionally not trying to learn or listen to what she's saying. And like I said, I have nothing but respect for Pat Wallace. I think she is an absolute badass. If you can handle the big personalities of Manny Pelaez and then also a mayor's office, I mean, kudos to you. But with that post, the last one I read, it was one of those like, if she's saying this, then
echoes, smoke where there's fire. There's a lot of smoke.
Don.
Yeah, it's not just, it's a lot of rumors, and then I guess the issue becomes like people who are the mayor's supporters, and I've always said this, like you see no wrongs. You're like, there's nothing wrong. It's clearly everybody else's fault, and it's like, all right, man, you got to be a little bit more objective about things. Like we all want a better. I mean, our podcast is Central Texas. We all want people to be taken care of better. But if your office is consistently having like turnovers, and the elected official that you like, whose office is clearly not being staffed, and there's currently like issues going on behind the scenes, then you can't just be all like rainbows and sunshine. You got to start thinking like, okay, what's really going on? What's really going on here? I guess to kind of like pivot, have you ever wanted to be chief of staff? Like, is it like a pursuit to be called at 2:00 in the morning and being like, hey, there's a pothole?
You know what? I think it's so funny because I had asked ChatGPT, I'm like, what should I do? Like, what would be an ideal role for me? And chief of staff was the number one role that ChatGPT thinks that I should be good at. And I think I like the idea of like, I don't have to be the face. I mean, Don knows, and I think our listeners know by this point, like I've run for office, didn't get it. But like the more and more I think about it, I think that like the idea of being able to just kind of like work with people behind the scenes and get things done without having to like deal with like being like the face that's scrutinized for it. I think it's a lot of, I don't know, chiefs of staff, I think that they don't get enough grace. I think that honestly, like political staff members, and I think both of us can say this with like our whole chest, we don't get paid enough.
No.
We don't get paid enough. Big ass personalities, and we don't get nearly paid enough.
Any job where you have to deal with the general public, but also have to deal with personalities inside, also having to be on the forefront of like media and attention, I feel like are incredibly difficult jobs. I enjoyed working for city council when I did it, and I think city council job is one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. Being a chief of staff job is a lot of fun. I would be hella down to do it. I just know that if you commit to being a chief of staff, then for those of you who do not know, city council members like to call people at 2:00 in the morning and be like, hey, there's an issue. And you're like, it's 2:00 in the we can't wait till 6:00 in the morning for this. And then some city council members are more so like, we need to do this right now, where others are kind of like, I got a family to take care of. I'll contact you in the morning. And I've seen a lot of chief of staffs generally in elected official offices do not last that long. Like, it's just across the board. It's a very stressful job. Like, you have to watch your principal, but you also got to watch the team as well. Every elected official has a different relationship. Sometimes the chief of staff is the CEO of the team. Sometimes the chief of staff just needs to manage the elected official. I've worked with a lot of good chief of staffs, I will say, but I do know it is a very difficult position. And honestly, I would probably say the biggest the biggest headache for a chief of staff might be the principal. You gotta know their personality, and you gotta kind of like understand what they want to do, how they're going to say it, what is going to be said, how to operate. The team itself is like, yeah, that's kind of complicated, but you understand, like, you need to make sure that the principal, the elected official, is well received in the public. And not to say anything about like Pat Wallace or Denise Carroll or anything on the nature, but I'm just letting people know the insight behind the scenes is that the chief of staff is a difficult position, and city council is an incredibly difficult position, like especially as an aide. And back in the day when we were getting paid, I said $7.25 an hour to handle 300 constituent calls a day. And then what I would like the holiday. What is that? Like, we got to work today. Like, we work every day of the week, which I thought was fun. But I apparently, when you tell people this from the outside looking in, Like, you work on Saturdays and Sundays? I was like, hell yeah, they invite me out to a barbecue competition on Saturday and Sunday, and I'm having a great time. So you got to really
I
want to
will
do it.
say I had a phenomenal chief of staff. Jay Pajensky was an absolute badass and so sweet and very kind. My council member was definitely the one that would like call us and like force us into like a group text, a group call, a Zoom meeting. And because he had an idea at 5 a.m, which if his idea was his priority, then it was everybody's priority. And he didn't have a wife and kids. So he literally had too much time on his hands. And so it would be like on Sundays, I rest. It's like, what do you mean you rest? Like there was literally no idea of like, hey, like I have a child and my kid needs me to help him with his homework. So can we not make this a hot button item right now? So definitely, I think it's like managing personalities is always the most difficult, but having a chief of staff that is going to back you up is super, super important. And I am eternally grateful that I had a chief of staff that was willing to play the buffer when like the council member's personality was too fucking much.
My very controversial take is this. Working with people, the principal who have a family is 10 times better than working with people that don't have a family, because they put things 100%. In perspective. They're like, this is my 9 to 5. I have to go home and talk to my husband or my wife and my bad kids. I ain't got time to be doing this all the day. Whereas people who I feel like don't have that grounded, I guess, anchor, are like, I'm going to put all 115% into this job, and I'm going to be working on this job 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. And the staff is like, yo, I can't get a break. So that's my controversial take. Now, this might come back and bite me, but I do like working for people who have families, because it there's a balance.
Yeah, agreed. Typically there's a balance. I think as far as another hot tea take on, again in San Antonio, and I gave him a shout out in one of our last episodes. I don't know if it was a re-record or the main one, because we had some technical difficulties on our last recordings. But Robert Garcia, who is a good friend of mine, he's running for Alamo area colleges in District 9, and some of his opponents were trying to bring up an arrest of his and some like a record of his that was like back when he was like a teenager, trying to like, again, muddy his reputation and who he is as a person today. And so I think I was like really proud of the community, because it fucking backfired. San Antonio Report put out the story. He did a phenomenal job of just saying like, hey, I've never been dishonest with it. He had the opportunity to like get his record like expunged, and he never did. And he said, because it's part of my story. Like, I'm really proud of the fact that I could have gone down one pathway and been this one guy that I think that like statistics show like Hispanic men to be. And I was able to overcome that. And now here I am with like my master's degree. I'm a certified CPA. I give back to the community. We like my business and I and my family, we've always done scholarships and things and mentorships for the youth. And that's why I felt like, because I am what this community looks like, I felt like I was the best person for the job, and why I decided to run for this. The amount of public support, if you go on the comments on the San Antonio Report, everybody's just like, so tell me again why we shouldn't vote for him, because he's exactly what we want to show the young men and women in such critical situations, circumstances like he was, that this could be you too. So I really thought that was kind of like one of those, like, it was very like, whoa situation that happened. So it just came out of nowhere. You never hear of these like school positions like getting like kind of nasty like that, but it did. And it just kind of like didn't land the way that I think his opponents wanted it to land. And I love that. Like people are kind of saying like, hey, we want authentic leaders versus perfect leaders. And we've talked about that before, about authentic leadership. And we're seeing that this was a great example of like the appetite for real is definitely becoming more palatable.
Right.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our 2 Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing.
segue to our next segment, our sweet tea segment, as we both take a sip of our tea. And you just did yours, so I'll just we can start with the tour of Corpus Christi. So tell us, is Corpus Christi what Charles Barkley says it is, or is it is there different? And if you're listening to us from Corpus Christi, welcome to the Two Texas Teas podcast.
Let me tell you, I went to school here. I was born in the surrounding area. My area code on my phone is 361. I get to have an opinion that is obnoxious because these streets raised me. For those that are just listening, I actually made Dawn delay the recording of the show because I had to go pick up a Dairy Burger sweet tea. This is such a deep cut for those, like, if you know, you know. And it's always been, so this is, there is this place in Alice, Texas, which is about 10 miles from my hometown, and it's called Dairy Burger. And they are known for their sweet tea. And they're also known for their steak fingers and their gravy. Like their gravy is like yellow because it is like so buttery and good. And then you have their like little salsa cups that you add to it. Is like, I will give myself a gluten stomach ache just for this basket. So I went and I picked up some steak fingers and I picked up my Dairy Burger sweet tea. This cup is bigger than my head. Like, I just want, like, for reference, like, it is ginormous and it is so cracked out with sugar. I am obsessed. But anytime I come down, I always try to get some Dairy Burger. And I'm so happy and proud that I get to sip some Dairy Burger sweet tea here in Corpus. But Dawn heard me kind of crash out yesterday because I went to Starbucks. And don't come at me for going to Starbucks. So that was literally the only option. And I asked for a cold brew and they put ice in my cold brew. And you don't put ice in a cold brew, and a nitro cold brew. So I was a little...
They said it's double cold down here.
I crashed out. Pretty hard. It is so funny because like there are some people that are super concerned about the water issue. And then other people that are just kind of like, we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I talked to my realtor recently, just kind of like trying to figure out what's the temperature on like how the housing market down here. There's possible concerns for like a moratorium on sales because basically we like Corpus would be selling lemon houses if they didn't have a water source. So I think that we're going to start to see like just kind of like concerns, like economic concerns and workforce concerns here in Corpus and what's that going to impact to the schools because Corpus is home to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Del Mar College, which is their community college source up here. And it's also like it serves like all the surrounding areas, oil, gas, energy, services and industries are also located here. They just like TxDOT just did like this massive project rebuild of the Corpus Christi bridge out here. So it's interesting to see like there was a lot of money put into Corpus just for it to now kind of like fall on itself. I am so grateful to be in San Antonio. I went to breakfast today and I asked for a poached egg and they gave me scrambled eggs.
I mean, it is your home. So, I mean, as an outsider, I think I drove by Corpus once and I was like, oh, look, it's Corpus Christi. And I was going to North Padre Island to go camp on the beach. And that was my only experience in Corpus. Everything I've heard from Corpus has been very 3 out of 5 stars. And I don't understand it because people would tell me that the Valley was a terrible place. And I feel like RGV is amazing. I feel like that I drove through there and I was like, this is one of the most amazing parts. Actually, it was like almost every place I go to in Texas and people tell me don't go there. And then I go there and it's amazing. Like Del Rio is amazing. Eagle Pass is amazing.
I know.
The Valley is amazing. I love it. I love it. Just.
I think we need to do, I think we need to do a field trip where I take you to my hometown and I want like a hot take. I want like an in the moment take of what you think of my hometown. We're going to have to set that up. But
as long as it's not in the summer, because it's be hot down there. Just can we do like the fall?
Oh, it'll be real hot. Sure, if you think it's going to be any cooler.
Hey, I take 90 over 105 any day.
We'll go during football season and you can actually experience like a real Friday Night Lights.
Oh, okay. I'm down.
Yeah. Because they so my hometown actually got a blue turf football field. They're real bougie. So
but clearly they're doing very well for themselves. Like, you know, all these stories I hear. Just your home will bring you back eventually.
unofficial mantra for my hometown is like the Taylor Swift song, No Body, No Crime. That's all I'm saying. We are South
Interesting.
Texas. Our mascot is the vaquero, which is the Mexican cowboy. So everything's Selena here.
Gomez?
We love a Selena.
I'm
Oh,
joking.
Dawn.
I make that joke too much. I know. I'm gonna get. Everybody was enjoying the podcast, and now I'm saying this.
Granted, she's also from Texas, and she was named after Selena Quintanilla.
See,
Fun fact.
see.
But no, yeah, it's very humid. I like my face is like oily. Like I can't get rid of. Like I'm very oily right now. The frizz is frizzing. My hair is no longer acclimated to the conditions here in South Texas. But we're
I feel
here.
like
We're here for a
every
good time.
stereotypical thing you know about Texas from the outside looking in is either about Dallas, but it should be about like South Texas, because I feel like that's kind of very stereotypical. South and then very West Texas is kind of it. Everywhere else is kind of like bougie Texas. To segue to our other sweet tea story, it is Kacey Musgraves who invited the mariachi band, and apparently those tickets sold out in like 2 seconds. I had heard about
the bots. Did you hear about the bot controversy?
Yeah. So the bots, I mean, this is another story about not wanting ice in your cup, but you see how things backfire. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before, and we kind of want to stay focused on Central Texas, but we know the damages that ice has done to a lot of the communities around in the area, as far as like how people feel and like what's going on. And then we hear stories about people being like, I can't go outside right now because I feel like something's going to happen, even though it's like, you're an American, you should be fine. But, you know, it's perception. I guess we got Nice now, so they changed their name to Nice, is what social media said. But your thoughts?
Somebody had said it'll always be the Gulf of Mexico. It'll always be ice. And there was like a third thing. It's like, I don't care how many times you want to rebrand it. It's still ice, Gulf of Mexico, and something else. I can't remember what the third thing is. I am a Kacey Musgraves fan. Like, I have loved her since her like debut album. I think she's phenomenal. She is one of those that like stayed true to like country music. Her current album, I just finished listening to it. It is absolutely amazing, and I love that she's been so authentic of sharing that like she takes a lot of her influence from like Tejano and Mexican folk music, and you can hear some of those notes in there. I think with that, it was very much on brand for her to say like, hell yeah, I'll have a mariachi band open for me, and even more so, I'm gonna have these boys who you've completely traumatized them. They were children, and bring them to open for her in all places. Gruene Hall, which is like a historic dance hall in Central Texas, in Gruene, Texas. And I mean, it's also where Urban Cowboy John Travolta, they filmed some scenes there. So there is so much like beautiful like Texas history. Yes, full-hearted memory. We got some looking for love in all the wrong places kind of situation from the Urban Cowboy in Gruene Hall. And so I think it's amazing that she did that she was just like, I'm gonna support these people in the way that she could. But yeah, it was such a bummer. All 3 days sold out, and now like the resale value is anywhere from like $500 to $800 for these general admission tickets. Wild, because I wanted to go.
Our controversial take is that Americans who have not committed crimes should not be detained. I feel like that's kind of
period.
I feel like that's we almost 250 years into this country. I feel like that should be kind of like a standard thing that we don't do for, and even think, like, bureaucratic mistakes. Like, I don't feel like Americans should be subjected to bureaucratic mistakes. It's just like, I'm American, leave me alone, and the government should be like, all right, cool, all right, we'll go somewhere else.
Imagine, Dawn, like you and I get a speeding ticket, and we still get to keep like our license. These people get a speeding ticket, and they're like, oh, deported. You went 5 miles over the speed limit, so now you get to leave. Like where's the line? Like, at some point, like, I mean, the whole idea, the propaganda behind the deportations was to get rid of like the drug trafficking, the gang affiliations, like all that. Like, and those are situations like I can get down behind. Like, yeah, we don't want to bring in the wrong person, right? Like, and that's fine. Like, I get the gist of it. I get the tone of it. Now we're just being racial. We're being super racist. Like, we're trying to, this just feels like it feels like a modern day genocide. Like, we are literally trying to just like like make America white again when it was never white to begin with. Like let's remember who the immigrants were. It wasn't the Native Americans. It wasn't the brown people.
It's like when the ink was dry.
We had the king, like King Charles and Camilla, which I will never call her queen because I stand on Princess Diana. I am a Princess Diana fan for the rest of my life, and I do not condone the Camilla situation.
Wow.
But I mean, they came here, and they even came here, and we're just like, don't come back. 250-year happy birthday, but like, let's remember like Magna Carta, and like you could tell like Trump was like, what's that? I'm like, oh my god.
So I feel like we all kind of well, we didn't all agree, but we kind of at a certain point in the country's history, we were like, you know what, tyranny from one person is not really what we want to stand for, and then falsely accusing and prosecuting Americans is something else we don't kind of stand for. And I guess over the years those not really been followed, but and then another controversial take is that when the ink was dry on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, there were already people of various ethnicities and races in the country when it was. And then I do believe it said all men, and I didn't know if it was discriminating. I've always brought up and this is kind of way over to the right, the left field or whatever, but I've always said that the United States Constitution is such an impossible document because I don't know what the founding fathers were smoking when they wrote it, but some of them words in the Bill of Rights and Declaration, hey, we have never, not one time, actually like achieved those beliefs and ideas. But them people was back there just like, this is the pursuit. This is what we want America to be like. And in every generation, we kind of disappoint. But the intention of the Constitution has always been like it's a longer take than that. But that's kind of my controversial take. It's just like 250 years later, we're still kind of crawling along, not really knowing what we're supposed to do. To segue into our last take, which is our brewed tea, and that has to do with the Austin, the importance of the state elections that are coming up, the raises that many of these candidates have, or not raises, but the amount of money that many of these candidates have raised, and I guess the overall feeling on like how things are going in the races. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm really excited. Not excited. That's a bad word. I'm interested to see how these runoffs go for the primary races, to see, who those potential candidates are going to be locally in Bexar County. Some of these primary races, that's it. Like there were no Republicans running against some of these Democratic primaries. So like once we find out in some of these runoffs, like that's who we're going to be with. I think at a state level, I think a lot more people are going to have an eye on Tony Gonzalez's seat to see, what that's going to look like in November. We're going to have like some, eyes on that, and also what the process is going to look like in between. You and I've talked about that before. We also learned that gerrymandering is officially legal and Texas gets to do what Texas does. So I'm going to be really curious to see what at a national level, but obviously because we're, talking Texas here, what at a Texas level, the strategy is going to look like when we move into the November elections. And I think that May is going to give us a good idea of showing that we don't have time for internal party fighting, like on either side, Republicans and Democrats. Like they don't have time to be doing this because if the Republicans start fighting, Democrats are going to monopolize or monetize on that. Like they're going to definitely like try to utilize that. And on the Democratic side, I think that it's shifting. I follow a few other like Democratic political influencers on social media, and they're getting very honest and exposing how some of the, like there's a lot of like mean girling within the party. I've experienced it locally. I've seen how this can, I've seen how, you pick somebody and then you just completely bully the other opponents into kind of muting them, right? And so there's definitely going to be more of an accountability held on both parties, especially now that we realize like the gerrymandering effect is going to not just impact Texas, but it's going to impact the U.S. In turn, this is going to be super critical, right? Because of all of the, it's expensive right now. Like gas here is almost $4 for unleaded, which I know we're still lower than most places in the US, but like cost of living is going up. And so this idea that, you're getting more money in your pocket this income tax season, cool, but I'm not, because everything else is so expensive. tariffs are still impacting people. The war is
Healthcare.
still impacting people. Healthcare. We're also seeing Bexar County commissioners were just briefed that they're going to have to start tightening their belts because the deficit at the county level is getting big. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think the cost of just everything is going to start to slow stuff down. We're going to start to see this impact other industries like construction and engineering and all of it. And at some point, I don't know. I feel like I remember when the 2008 recession was happening. I feel like we're looking at the end of a barrel here.
Wait
and
a
it's going to
second.
be. I think that
You
these
don't
next elections
believe
are going to be super super important.
ChatGPT, OpenAI, Claude, Anthropic are buoying the economy, and we're just going to sell into riches and be wealthy from all? Like, we're having potentially 4 companies that are going to be valued at $1 trillion go public at the end of the year. Just everything's booming. The Iran war will be over in like a few weeks. You know, we'll be all right. You know, just that's what everybody's telling me.
Donald Trump is such an idiot. So there was this like post. I don't know if you saw it. One of my friends reposted because I don't have Truth Social, nor will I give them a website visit from my laptop.
Should create a Truth Social to Texas Tea.
That's all you. You can handle that social media handle. Somebody put up like 8 or 9 photos of AI women, and the caption was just like, you know, none of their none of their home bases have like even tried to get remove the hostages. Like, you know, if they don't, then they're just going to be beheaded. Like some really gory, stupid caption. All AI women. And what does Trump do? He reposts it and shares like, please let these women go, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, yes, because they're pretty AI women, but who's going to tell them that they're fake? Like, literally the things that are like he's prioritizing to like make a statement on. Like,
can I
I don't.
Devil's advocate. He's like 88 years old. What grandparent in today's age of social media can discern what is real and what is fake? I'm just saying, you know, it's really hard.
Why is he the commander-in-chief of our... But all you're doing is validating, like, he should not be the commander-in-chief of our great nation. Like, there are age limits for everything else. People who have a red button that they can push in any type of warfare situation, they literally age out. Pilots cannot be like a pilot after, I think it's like 54, 55. Like, there are certain things that you have to like test to say, hey, you are still like mentally with it to be able to do this job, except for the president of the fucking United States. Like, help me understand how like we are allowing a nearly 90-year-old to like run our country right now.
Wait a second. Well, another devil's advocate. I'm a member of Congress. Why would I write rules to legislate myself out of Congress? We're all 85 in here. Like, why I don't want to retire. Like, I want to be in Congress. I'm 93. I'm not gonna make rules and kick
Texas
myself
had
out.
somebody. Do you remember, Don? There was a representative for Texas who she'd been in a senior home, had been absent for like years from like different committee meetings and like major body meetings. She was in a senior home suffering from like severe progressed dementia, and she was still like in an elected position, and just her staff was just running things. Like, when do we say like that's embarrassing? Like, when do we say like we probably should put it, like, you can't run for office run for president until you're 35. So we have a minimum age requirement. We should probably have a maximum age requirement. Be like, this is the age range we're looking at right here. Like, this is a sweet spot.
Say we do have an age range requirement. It's the people who vote for the office, and if they choose the 99-year-old man to be their president, then they're basically giving them a vote of confidence to do what they need to do. That's what somebody explained it to me. The reason why we don't have term limits either is because technically we do. It's the people who vote for these candidates, and if they decide that this candidate is too old or not able to be the elected official, then perhaps they wouldn't vote for them. So it's like, that's one half of it. The other half, like, obviously, like every time any of one of these candidates and the president does something very old, I say, I always laugh and tell my brothers, like, if we had our dad be the president of the United States, he'd probably do the same thing. But that's because my dad is like 77, and you can't tell people nothing. They're like, well, I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm doing it because I feel like doing it. And it's just like, all right, we all have old people in our lives that are just so stubborn and just say whatever they want to say. And you like, Grandpa, you can't say that. Like, what are you talking about? And then
I mean, yeah. I guess it also like brings us full circle to like who's the majority voting body. Like we've heard about this, like we've been told and it's been shoved down our throats. Young people don't vote, so you vote for the person that looks the most like you. And I really, really hope that this influences this next generation of voters to really get out and use their vote and get out there and vote for somebody who is going to have your best interest at heart. Because at the end of the day, like we only have one Earth, and like this weather, like I'm in Corpus and it's like pouring. It was 90 degrees yesterday. The day, like this last weekend, I told you, I was in a puffer jacket with hand warmers at my son's baseball game with like lightning. Like, I don't want anybody to tell me that global warming is not real, because within the last 4 days, it was hot, cold, rainy, flash flood warning. I mean, like it's going to go back to being humid and gross again. Like I am so tired of whatever like perimenopausal situation is going on with Texas. She is hot flashing.
Well, I don't want to make a joke, but they did say El Nino is going to be hitting the ocean soon. So she probably don't. She's like, the thermostat is up, the thermostat is down, thermostat is back up again, the thermostat is down. She's like,
I will say, like La Nina.
Oh, La Nina.
There's no Nina here in Texas. This is La Vieja. She's an old lady right now. We are not a young Nina. We are a viejita. We are La Vieja is what we are.
It's hot today. I'm cold. I'm sweating now, and I'm not sweating. Like, somebody get her hand off.
Exactly. She's in her hot flash era. She is in like a bata, which is like those like caftans, like in her old like lady nightgown. She is like out there like with with her fan on, her fan off. She's upset. She doesn't know how to work a remote control right. She's living.
So you've made it to the end of another Two Texas Teas podcast. We appreciate it. If you want to learn more about us, learn more about what we're doing, want to buy some merchandise, please visit our website at twotexasteas.com. Visit our social media, like, subscribe, share, talk to people about it, and let's grow this fan base. Thank you all.
See you next time. We did it.